In-text citations are an important part of citing sources in your academic writing. This video will cover two different ways to cite sources within the text of your paper using MLA style. In-text citations briefly identify a source referenced in a paper. They enable readers to locate sources in the works cited list. The author information in an in-text citation must also appear as an entry in the works cited list. In MLA format, you will need to cite page numbers for both direct quotes and paraphrased information. There are two ways to format in-text citations: parenthetical citations and citations in prose. Let's look at how to format each one. First, let's look at parenthetical in-text citations. For a parenthetical in-text citation, you need the author's last name and the page number where the information referenced can be found. For two authors, both authors' names are listed, separated by the word "and." This information is contained in parentheses and found at the end of the sentence. Include a period after the parenthetical in-text citation. Another way to cite in text is through a citation in prose. To do this, you introduce the author in the text, or prose, and include the page number of the referenced information in parentheses at the end of the sentence. In this case, you can use the author's first and last names in your writing. Again, if there are two authors, mention both authors in the sentence, separated with the word "and." If a source has three or more authors, instead of listing all the authors in an in-text citation, you use the first author's last name followed by the abbreviation ET space AL period. As in all in-text citations, this is followed by the page or pages cited, either in parentheses for an in-prose citation, or just after the author's name in a parenthetical citation at the end of the sentence. Here's an example of a paragraph with in-text citations to show what a parenthetical citation looks like, along with several citations in prose, where the author names are introduced as part of the sentence. Page numbers come at the end of the sentence. When an organization or group is the author, as is often the case with large organizations or government entities, you use the group name for the parenthetical citation, abbreviated using standard grammar conventions. If you use the group name in a sentence, write it out completely. In the works cited list, the organization is always written out completely. Even if the organization or group has a commonly known abbreviation or acronym, MLA does not typically use acronyms. However, if the organization has a very familiar or commonly used acronym, like UNC for the University of Northern Colorado, spell the name the first time you use it in your text and provide the acronym in parentheses. You may use the acronym in all subsequent text. Most of the time, we are citing paraphrased or summarized information from our sources. But sometimes you may want to directly quote something from a source. For direct quotes, you must include a page number or other identifying number of where you got the quote. Fortunately, MLA style requires a page number or other identifying number for both direct quotes and paraphrased information. For parenthetical citation, the page number is placed at the end of the other information in the parentheses at the end of the quote. For a citation in prose, only the page number is in parentheses at the end of the quote. The quotation marks must be included for quoted information, and the parentheses and period at the end of the sentence come after the final quotation mark. Here are a few things to remember about in-text citations in MLA format. You only use the author's last name in parenthetical citations. Write out the author's full name for citations in prose. The page numbers of the cited information should be in parentheses at the end of the sentence in every case. If you have two authors for a source, use the word "and" to separate their last names in both parenthetical citations and citations in prose. For three or more authors, use the abbreviation "et al." after the first author's last name. And lastly, your in-text citation should match with your works cited list, so the reader can find all the sources you cite in your paper and use the page numbers in your paper to find specific information. Be sure to get help if you have questions about in-text citations. You can go to the MLA Style Center or, as always, ask a librarian.